Hi all. In today's video, we would be covering Kubernetes taints and tolerations features. So if we see here, right, what is a taint and what is a toleration? So basically, in a nutshell, if we talk about taints are basically you put a taint on a node. It's a node specific thing that you apply, which specifies that a particular type of nodes will be scheduled on them, and that indication is or that particular selection is done by labels and selectors. And for pods to be placed on them, you have to specify a toleration on a pod. That means you have to make pod tolerable to the taint which is applied onto the node in a cluster. So if we see a taint is applied to a node, that indicates only specified pods can be scheduled on them, and a toleration is applied to the pod that allows them to tolerate a node's taint. So in a nutshell, if we see its taint is on a node, toleration is on a pod. So we will see like how to taint a node, and correspondingly we will be editing a pod configuration YAML file and put a toleration in it for the same. So basically, Taint has three features, three effects. If you see here, this is a syntax for the same kubectl taint, then nodes, then you specify the node name and you specify key value pair. For example, you want to put a particular type of application on a particular node. For example, here we will be taking an example where the app is the key, app is equal to test that we would be using. And then there is a effect that you see here. Either it's NoSchedule, no execute, and there is no prefer no schedule. This is the one. So I will just change it. It's not correct. So these are the three effects. Now if we see the meaning, no schedule, that means Kubernetes will not schedule the pod onto that node if the toleration is not specified on that. By default, pods don't have any tolerations. So if a node is tainted and you have not specified any toleration on it, then that node won't go on to that pod won't go on to that node. In the same way, there is second effect, which is prefer no schedule. And when we say prefer no schedule, it means Kubernetes will try not to schedule the pod onto that node, but it doesn't guarantee for the same. In the same way, there is a third one, no execute. This is by far, we can say, in case you have a pod which is actually running on a node and then you apply a taint on it, then that particular pod will be evicted and it will not be scheduled onto that node, and if it's a part of replica set, it will be scheduled onto other node. So but first of all, we have to see what exactly is, how do we find whether the node is tainted or not. So what you do is you use a kubectl describe node property, and then you use the grep to find a taint. So let's see. And if you have to remove the taint, then we have a command which is the same, but there is a minus at the end or a dash at the end. So let's get started. We will be discussing the YAML file as well, and let's see the current status of the pods. So here we have three worker nodes cluster. So if I see in here, right, So if we see, we have a 3-node cluster and we have to just find whether it's tainted or not. Node, and then we can specify any particular node. We paste it here. By default, we haven't placed any thing onto the any particular taint onto the node. This one I did place, but we will just check whether it's present or it has been removed. So if we see, we have already applied a taint on the same. So what we're gonna do is we will first test and see, we will remove it. So everything is same. So what we're gonna do is, this is the syntax for the same. So cube, cuttle, taint, nodes, then your node name, and then your key value pair, that is app equal to test, and then colon, and the NoSchedule, which is, you could see from here, you can copy it here and then paste it, and you then remove it. It will remove, it says that it's untainted now. So if you run the same command, you won't find any taint. So let's go ahead and again taint it, so that this particular node only accept pods which has a key value pair of app equal to test, and the effect is NoSchedule. So we will be running this command. It's exactly the same, that's above one, but only minus is missing. So we will be choosing the first one, and if we go ahead and run this, you could say it says tainted. So if we see what are the pods running onto the nodes, so we will be running a simple command which will, we can either use this actually reduces the tabular format. So if you see in here, right, so these are the pods which are running currently on these 3 nodes. 1, 2, this is the node name, and this is the pod name, and all the namespaces. So there is a simple pod configuration file that is present, and it's in this folder. If you see in here, so it's a configuration pod manifest file. If you see, it's a simple, there is no toleration in it. Toleration you specify in the specification section, and there are 4 things we will see into the another YAML file. But what we're gonna try is, we will be trying to create a pod, but as this will not be having any toleration, so it will either go on node 2 or node 3, but not on node 1. So it says it's created. Now let's see the command. It gives you an option, it says that it's hosted on 002. So this is how it is. It didn't go on to node 01. It could have either gone to node 02 or 03. So it had whatever the scheduler, cube scheduler specified, it went on to that. So let's go on to the another particular YAML file that we have created. So if I go in here, there is one pod tolerations YAML file that we have created. We will just see how exactly it looks. So if you see here, so this is the option that you see right in here, this option. So this is the section that you place in the specification section. This one. In specifications, you add this line, and it's a sibling of containers. You specify tolerations, then then you specify list, that is minus key, then app, you specify an app, which is a key value pair, and the value is test, that you specified as a taint on the node. Then you use an operator equal, it could be equal, exist, and there is some other one and third one as well. You can just look into this particular section. Okay, this particular URL for Kubernetes uh, that you could see. Then the effect is no schedule, that will it will not schedule anything unless there is a toleration for the same. So let's get started and let's try to deploy it on. Let's try to run this pod configuration file. So it says it's created. Now let's run the same command that we ran a bit earlier. This is the one. So if we see, right,